I think that last week or 2 weeks ago, we talked about how, in my opinion, this issue was framed around race when I thought it was more to do with economics and socioeconomic things, right? Like George Floyd was obviously a black person, but he was also not a wealthy person, which I think if you look at police killings, you'll find that they're disproportionately black compared to the U.S. population, but even more disproportionately poor compared to the U.S. population. So I see what, in my opinion, is a misframing of a number of things. But then I was asking myself, is poor even the correct frame for a lot of this? Is socioeconomics? Because rich people kill themselves, right? Avicii committed suicide, and you can do the whole long list of people who have done this. And you're like, oh, what if we had this welfare redistribution? Well, what if we do all that? What if we get everyone a bare minimum of things, which, by the way, America has better than almost 70, 80% of countries in the world. And it doesn't solve this problem of dissatisfaction and anger and unrest. And I think that it's possible, if not likely, that it would, because it's not necessarily about where is the floor, because America's floor is far higher than other countries.
No, I think that's fair. I think a lot of dissatisfaction comes with feeling like you have less than other people, which is to say, if you took we all know this, if you took somebody from the poorest neighborhood in the US and you took those exact circumstances and gave them to like a caveman, right? They'd be like, hold on, I don't have to deal with the weather. I have a roof. They'd be ecstatic, right? Which isn't to say that somebody who's living in a poor neighborhood today shouldn't be upset. It's just to say that your unhappiness comes from comparing yourself to expectations in other people. Because there were happy cavemen who were really excited when they found a flat piece of ground and they didn't have to sleep on thorns.
And even present day, there are people in communities that have less than the poverty line in the United States, which you have to assume, and studies can, the happiness index will show you that some of the poorest countries are towards the top, right? I lived in Costa Rica. It is much poorer than we were. I lived with a host family, and not that I had a great time. We ate meat once every 2 weeks. It was rice and beans every single day. We didn't have a hot shower. I didn't have a hot shower while I was there, which is crazy in America, but was just normal for everyone there.
No, and I think for a lot of people, if you said, listen, you're literally just going to eat 30 cents of rice and 30 cents of beans, 3 meals a day, every day in the U.S., they'd immediately be unhappy about it because most of them have access to internet or television and they see people eating steak. Whereas in Costa Rica, it's like, I eat this, my neighbor eats this, my best friend eats this. It's all good.
So the question is, what is the problem? And I don't know that we've actually gotten to the problem in all of this. Clearly there's a problem. And I would say you can see it because people are marching in the streets, dissatisfied, angry at one another. And I'm not convinced, and I would love if someone disagrees, that it comes down to either police brutality, and we could talk about why, but I think you disagree with me, so it would or agree with me, so it would be kind of silly for us to go back and forth, or race issues at its core. If you go to the core, I think you can find that more fundamental than that are socioeconomic issues. And even more fundamental than that, as I think about it, is the idea that material goods, comparative to your neighbor, is what constitutes a good life. And so I had a handful of questions that I wanted to ask because I don't know that I've gotten all the way to the root.
But I think that's a good invitation. So if anybody disagrees with that,
please come on.
Our YouTube channel for the podcast, in the description for this episode, it'll have a place where you can put your information in. And I say that in a weird way because some of our listeners are on Spotify and the apps. Like, it's not going to be in the description there. But if you find this on YouTube, go to the description. There'll be a place where you can put in and just say, hey, I disagree with Charlie. I don't think it has to do with that. And we'll talk about it.
I would love to. So one way to frame the problem, I do think the materialist core is a problem. And I want to make clear, there's a basic level of material needs that as a society, we should come together to provide for people.
For instance, Flint, Michigan hasn't had clean water in way too long. It is absolutely absurd that has occurred. And that is something that I think people need. At a fundamental level. It's the ability to drink water. Hope that you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to see more like this and have us do more podcasts, we are 100% funded by our generous patrons. And if you'd like to contribute, there's a link in the description, and we'll have one pop up on the screen right here so that we can do more podcasts where we have fun conversations and hopefully some deep ones like this. Either way, hope that you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.